has these ties that are run a little deeper than Gil's, his drug buddy, Bradley's drug buddy. But we get our first meeting with Udo, and in this, he's just the placid man because he's very just no monotone, just no change in his voice. Here's what it is, and so we get a conversation with him through the guest kind of screen in prison. So the visitor screen, it's him and Udo. Bradley doesn't know who this guy is, but he tells him, "We need you to kill this man in Redleaf in cell block 99. His name is Christopher."
I forgot.
I forget what the name is.
He doesn't exist.
Yeah, he doesn't exist, and we need you to kill this person, or your wife is going to. Not die.
No, not die. Udo had, in an interview, said it was the most villainous and intense language he's ever had.
Yeah, and he does bring it across very creepily, and I would be like, okay, I guess I gotta do this. I was
telling Marcus, this was one of the parts of the movie, that I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
We won't get into it too much in here, but it has to do with, an abortion and the safety of the baby, and just, it's gross. And so Vince Vaughn goes into action almost immediately.
But to get into cell block 99, it's not in this prison. It is in Redleaf prison.
So he has to get sent to a maximum security prison. I guess he's just in a prison right now.
Right. He's just in a county jail probably or something right now.
And to get there, you have to be a problem.
Right.
Which he hasn't been. He's been nice. And there was a guard who had tried to get him into boxing. He's like, "Oh, you're a big man. Look like you can handle yourself." And he's like, "I did a little boxing." And it's like, blah, blah, blah. That's the only really background you get on this. And so the guy is... They give each other a hard time, but then after this conversation with Udo, Vince is coming back up the stairs, and he's the guard, who's great in the movie as well, is just like, "Hey, I'm sorry about earlier, man. I was trying to get you into boxing, and just being friendly and just trying to make amends." And then, but Vince knows what he has to do.
Yeah.
And then it starts. The movie, from the time he decides to almost kill this guard, and I guess maybe that's Vince being the moral guy, because he could have killed him.
He could have killed him easily, yeah.
But maybe he thought that would be too severe or whatever. But it ramps so fast after this.
It does. It's the first fight scene really, and it's a great hallway fight scene. That's just no music overlay to it. Just the sounds of things and how heavy the punches are and how slow but good it is too.
And it's all long. It's long shots once again. And the guard, who's this likable dude who just sort of turned, and you're like, man, I like him even more now. Puts up a fight, and this is what I'm talking about. Vince takes so many direct shots, just face shots, head shots, and you're just like, all right. And then he keeps going. Breaks the guy's leg. Breaks his leg
in just a rough, long, awkward way too. Just not a quick Seagal way. It's just a very pulling, and then bam.
That's another thing. These breaks aren't Seagal. I guess you get the over the shoulder elbow joint break, and you see the bone pop out, then it cuts away. This is it's not quick, like Marcus said, and then once it's broken, it sort of just stays on the guy a little longer than it's comfortable.
Yeah. But he gets in the fight here, and then he's sent to. He's still in the prison. He doesn't get sent to Redleaf just for this. They're actually taking him away. The other guards come in. Well, I don't know. They could have, but he just thinks, well, I got to ramp it up even more to get sent to Redleaf. So then we have another great hallway scene, a stairwell scene, and another break, then pepper spray, and it's just so good. The amount of shots that he takes in this one, too, are a lot. And they finally get him down and everything, but still, he takes out, 2 guards at the time, and it's just...
Does more breaks. And then we get the iconic for this movie, with the poster with the bloody back of the head.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a pretty big... Maybe because the cross is there, but it's referenced a lot imagery-wise within the promotion of this and things like that. So it's... to send a message or to get revenge, one of the guards just continually presses and rubs his boot into the back of his head.
Yeah,
and it's effective. It's uncomfortable.
It is. And from there we go to Redleaf, and it's kind of okay, we get this next chapter as far as what Vince Vaughn has to do and kind of these levels that he's enduring to save his wife.
Because then we realize when we get to Red Leaf, when we meet Don Johnson, he has to do all this humiliating stuff all over again. That he's a big dude, so he's going to wear a belt. Mm-hmm. Has he worn the belt?
No, he doesn't wear the belt first. He's in like the minimum.
Right. We realize that Cell Block 99 is not just in Red Leaf, but it is a higher security prison within Red Leaf.
Right.
So he has to do even more gross shit.
Yeah, and he has to fight outside the yard when he's trying to find this Christopher guy that Udo has said that Elazar wants dead. And now he has to fight just this gang. He picks a fight with the gang in the yard, weightlifting, and it's a great with the barbells and everything too. Why do they have barbells out there, man?
It does seem like that is a security measure that they would. You feel like they would do bands or something.
Yeah.
Like some low impact, high resistance
F-45 Mark Wahlberg.
TRX bands. But no, they have just full on 45-pound Olympic bells, and it's another gruesome fight scene.
Yeah, it's good. But then we finally get to Cell Block 99, and they've had enough of them, so he gets to where...
One thing I do want to point out in the prison yard fight is the backbreaking.
Oh, yes, that is good. Yeah.
That is just this unexpected, almost like superhero-like... Basically, Vince Vaughn's been a boxer this whole time. And he's been, handling himself, and he's been breaking, so he obviously... But then at one point, he just picks up this littler guy and shakes him around and breaks his spine. Damn! Oh, man, it's good. That fight scene's worth watching, but that's the one that gets him sent to Cell Block 99.
Yeah. And from there, we get the electrical girder that he has on.
Which electrocutes his kidneys or something.
Yeah. And Don Johnson can control it. The guards can control it. So he can get shocked whenever, doesn't matter, while he's eating, what you see. And he's sent to this cell that is just full of glass, broken glass and shit on the floor.
So gross.
And at this point now, Vince Vaughn, Bradley knows that he's not getting out of this. And that he has to do everything that he can to find this Christopher guy, kill him so that his wife can live. And about this time is when, because from there we go to the jail cell, which is the big fight. The big fight that is kind of like that we always talk about, that we've talked about building up to this, is when Elazar is in the prison.
Right. Elazar runs
this. Yeah, and he has this nice, I guess as nice as you can have.
Looks like a wine cellar.
Yeah, it does. And he has his guys down there. They're not cuffed or shackled or anything. They're just sitting around.
Which is interesting because when you meet Don Johnson, you picture him as like this image of like he's an asshole, but he's also dealing with the worst of the worst.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what. Like, you would think, like, he's an asshole, but he's an asshole to everybody.
Right.
Like, why is he just...
So his job is hard, therefore he is hard.
Yeah.
He deals with psychopaths, therefore he is a psychopath. Yeah. He's not likable, but that's you understand it. But then, like, Salazar has infiltrated the Red Leaf to such an extent where he has his own private thing, and he's able to run an entire drug organization from prison. And Don Johnson has to know about it.
I would think so, yeah. And that's kind of the only, I guess, flaw in this. Is like, I wish I knew the connection as far as what hand does Elazar have in this to be able to run this thing efficiently.
Because if Don Johnson knew that this was happening, he might be more lenient to Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, I would think so.
Right? Like, not even the whole, like, I'm going to kill your pregnant wife and all that stuff, but the whole underground drug rain happening right under his nose.
You like just sit down, talk with Tuggs, like talk with Don Johnson.
Vince doesn't share his feelings well. But yeah, we finally get basically through a series of clever moves. Vince Vaughn gets the shackles off. He injures a guard, kills
one of them,
kills one guard, and puts the other one in.
Breaks the other one's arm.
Right. That's
yeah.
And eventually he gets to find Salazar's lair. Yeah. And
they drag him in there the first time that he finds out he's there. Right. The guards drag him in there because he has the shocker, and they're all playing with him and toying with him with the shocker. And then I got to get rid of this thing somehow because I'm useless with it on.
Yeah. So we see that everyone's just toying with him, but once he gets this thing off, everyone's like, "Oh, we're fucked." Because he puts the insoles of his shoes between his skin and the shockers, and it's absorption, and it works. and then he gets to go back to Salazar's lair, and he just walks in. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, so many action movies and directors will take, like, him re-entering the lair without shackles. Like, you would think that'd be, like, a close-up, like, slow, like, cool line, and it's not. No. It's really just like he walked into a bar.
Yeah, he walks in, cause it's just like a job to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. I got to do this.
Yeah, and it's so cool. And then, of course, everyone starts fighting him. He has a ninja or a Jeet Kune Do expert who practices on tires. He has the big old dude. And we get some great fights. And I think this is what we should consider the boss fight.
Yeah.
Boss fight.
Because with Elazar, there's not really a boss in it. I mean, I guess Elazar is.
Right.
But, yeah, there's no put up of a fight with him.
You could consider if there was like a one-on-one with Don Johnson, which would have been fun, but there's not. It's one of the thugs who fucked up the meth run in the beginning, and the Jeet Kune Do Kung Fu guy, who you don't know. Yeah. No one knows him. And then this other dude who is from the gang that he fought earlier.
Right.
So it's these three thugs and the boss. And right off the bat, we get the scene that made me... maybe this scene turned me off from the whole movie the first time I watched it.
It is a punch. Like, you've seen bones being broken from to this point, but you haven't seen, like, a practical effect. Like, think that, wow. Like, that's...
Because this is practical. Let's keep that in mind. If you haven't seen this, which I maybe you will or you already have. But if you haven't, it's a fun fight between him and the Kung Fu guy, and then he gets him and he slams his face down, and while his face is face down on the concrete, he smashes it with his foot.
And you think that that's going to be...
But it's not.
It's not.
He takes his foot and then pushes his face across the concrete, and you see the skin of his face... Excuse me. You see the skin of his face bundle up as it peels and his nose crushes down, and then you're like, oh,
and just
gosh.
When you think that's going to be it.
It's not, because then he rolls over and there's more practical effects. And he's alive. So he's gurgling and blood spewing out of where his nose used to be. And even one of the thugs is like, oh God. Oh man. It is memorable.
I think that whenever anybody who's seen this movie, like that's one of the big scenes that you know about. And that really takes you back by watching it. And from there, it's any movie that we ever talk about, too, and we've talked about it a lot. You know, you have these guys like Steven Seagal, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, anybody who is just like overpowering, and you know the villain is just a smart guy, so when you know a fight is going to be useless. You don't need that. And this is the same way. You know anybody that Bradley fights is probably not going to be up for the match.
Right.
And he's going to overpower them. And at this, too, all we have as far as the only leverage is that they can kill his wife. Yep. Or not kill his wife, but the baby that's inside of her right now. And in a slow pace, too. But from here, it's just taking Salazar and working a deal that he'll kill Salazar or Elazar if, you know, anything happens to the baby inside his wife. And so they hold off on it, and they agree to bring her back to Gil's.
Right. Gil is the best friend, or the only one who's close to a friend that runs the drug business that Bradley worked for. Gil was a questionable character for me, because the fact that because he did pressure Vince Vaughn to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and he pressured him with death, kind of.
A little bit, yeah.
So he's like, I see the relationship, but like, he comes through at the end, and it's pretty satisfying.
It almost, but it's, and I liked, I guess, to put a button in it is kind of, you know, from the first time we meet Gil and seeing Bradley and him interact with each other, you kind of have this feeling like Gil's never let him. He's always been like, I am a bad guy, but I've always been fair with I'm smart with what I do.
Right.
So I think in a sense that Bradley does trust Gil because he knows he's like the bigger guy in this, so he knows what he's doing. And he trusts who he's doing business with. But at that same time, it's like he knew that he probably fucked up and going against...
Yeah, that's true. Because Vince was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
Bradley was like, we need to do it. And Vince was like, no, it's not. It's not right. And so, this has probably come up for that. But basically... So he beats the two thugs pretty handedly, and of course there's the famous face crunch scene. Salazar, of course, doesn't stand a chance.